So the Anakim were descended, or was there another incursion?
This is the whole question of how do you get, Anakim after the flood and all that. There's basically three possibilities for that. I didn't invent these. This is an old question, as you can imagine. So one view actually does include Noah and say no, not Noah himself, but maybe not his sons, maybe their wives, or something's going on there, so you can sort of have Noah's line okay, but not okay, that kind of thing. So there were ancient writers who would actually take that view because they're asking the same question. How does this work? There's even one text that has Noah himself as a giant, so what that tells you is that they're thinking about the problem and they're writing stuff about it.
There are some programs that will just run with that and say he's from another planet.
Yeah, so we all know what that is.
We don't need to name it.
So you get that. The other possibility is that the flood was not a global event like we think of it, because the world to the ancient person was Genesis 10.
Right.
Australia's not on the list, North America's not on the list. Well, the world to them is this, Mediterranean, Middle East kind of thing. And so maybe it was regional. Maybe some of them survived. And the way you get that is the Philistines, to be honest with you, because the Philistines are said by Jeremiah to come from Caphtor, one of the sea peoples in ancient Egyptian texts. And the Philistines are also named in Egyptian texts, the Peliset, okay? So maybe they, since they're sea peoples, maybe you get some later. Okay? The third view is that in Genesis 6:4, where it says, the Nephilim were upon the earth, in those days and also after. And then most translations have when the sons of God came into the daughters of men. But you can actually translate that grammatically, whenever.
Oh.
Okay, the sons of God came into the daughters of men. So it doesn't state that there were other events, but it leaves the door open.
That's a huge difference.
Now here's the other factor. I think in Paul's mind, that was a possibility. I don't think Paul stated it, because if you go to 1 Corinthians 11, and again, the whole head covering issue is, people want to get into that.
Because of those who watch,
Right, because of the angels.
Right.
And so, again, we don't have the time. It would take a whole hour to go through what's really going on in the head covering passage, and it's very sexual in nature because of, again, the Greco-Roman terminology. The terminology Paul uses there comes out of Greco-Roman medical texts. And it has something to do with fertility and fecundity. Surprise, surprise, Genesis 6.
Right.
So the advice he gives there, does have to do with modesty, but then he throws in this little line, well, we want to be careful about this because of the angels. So what it tells you is that, at least in Paul's mind, we really don't want this to happen again. So that tells you that maybe he was thinking it could.
Yeah.
So it gives you a little insight into what he's thinking that goes back to this question.
Interesting.
Oh, yes,
Interesting.